Arriving at Eos.
Hello everybody and welcome to the CGL Week 3 matches. We're going to get everything started and underway here. Welcome everybody. So for the starting lineup we have Jen Twiz back again, AK Slush Guru, and Grim. Speaking a little bit about the roster for Mob Mentality, Grim is a new addition to our Tier 4 team. So Grim, welcome. We're glad to have you here, and I'm glad to commentate for you here as well. So last week we did not cover some of the match schedule. There was some conflict things that we unfortunately couldn't get it recorded. But the record of Mob Mentality Tier 4 right now, I believe, is 2-1. Or I'm sorry, 1-1. So without further ado, let's get this started. So going with the first part of Ilios on Well, looks like we're going to go with the Hog Orisa combo. Obviously very powerful on this part of the Well. Easy to set up on your corner, use the Well as a death trap, and basically control the high grounds around it. So a little bit of fighting going on within the left side. A lot of damage being taken on the side of Guru. Grim looking for a punch. Who is managing his shields very well. Boulder, big for impact. And a lot of burst damage coming in on AK. AK was a little bit to the side. Shields had rotated. And this looked like the first point isn't going to go to the way of Mob Mentality. They're going to force a wipe here. So I feel like the team rotated a little bit right to put a body on point. And AK was kind of left out a little bit in the open. So we'll get a regroup in and hopefully have a successful attack in the next round. Team Galactic taking a bit of a off-point pressure, forcing Mob Mentality to go in pretty much the death choke. There is a Roadhog on the side of Team Galactic, so they're trying to run the same Roadhog on the opposite side of the well, but nobody wants to step foot in that death trap. Hook is down, so they're able to move at this point. Grim unfortunately falling to the Hog. Slush opting to choose a Sigma duplication. Gets immediately bursted out of his ult, so it's not going to be much value on that ulti there. Grim picking up another kill. You were also picking up a kill. Mob Mentality is able to capture the point here, even with a couple members of Galactic still alive, getting in a reset. So, kind of a skittish trade there. A little bit of a messy trade, but Mob Mentality does come out on top. Plenty of time left for anybody's game to take this first round of Ilios. Big hook coming in from Guru. And the ulti coming outside of Galactic. Drake able to pick up Twiz. Mango grabbing the kill on AK, so now Mob Mentality needs to be careful to just kind of stall the time here. Not sure if this is a winnable fight anymore. Basically get as much time as you can. But Slush says otherwise. Guru popping that ulti to buy his team time. Plenty of health to keep this point alive. Focus fire coming in on Guru now, and he is going to be popped out here. Slush putting in work, playing the close corners with this Echo. High Noon. Duplication used to pretty much nullify that ulti. That was a very big brains play coming out from Slush. Unfortunately, not able to get the Sombra. She TP's away. Bongo's being deployed. This point very much alive. Guru's able to come back off the stagger, so and pulling Drake back with him into the well, saying, "If I'm going down, you're coming with me." Get a little bit of view on Grim here. Grim High Noon unable to capitalize. Mob Mentality does have 80% on the point so far. If they get a good solid team fight in, It should be enough time, especially if they push down the stairs on the opposite side of Galactic's respawn area. Sigma ulti mopping up. Mango getting a triple kill off of that Gravid Flux. And so now the time's narrowing down for Mob Mentality to have a successful attack here.
Yeah, let's pick it up.
DPS is getting into position for the next touch. Jen electing to go for the Lucio and Swizz on this ball. So who's going to be the first one to make the first initiation? A lot of boops coming in. Swizz really in the thick of the mines, unable to capitalize. Jen tried to clear it out. Guru focused very hard here, but nobody's focusing Jen, so Jen may be able to get a kill here. Oops, coming in on the Lucio. And Jen doing a sneaky backline dive with the Lucio. She knew her team was pretty much good on health and she could force the attack, which does lead to the capture of the point. I would like to see Mob push a little bit further up here. Not give Galactic a time to recontest. Maybe get a pick right before they touch, but unfortunately, if they don't, this might go the way of Galactic if they didn't push, and Mob might have wished that they pushed this time. We'll see what happens. Guru getting focused very hard. So we've seen this consistent focus on the Roadhog, because the Roadhog is the threat on the well, and just kind of like how I predicted, it seems like because the push did not come out towards the front, the front door is kind of open to touch, especially if Galactic is pretty much grouped on their first initiation tup. So the pressure is on Jen to kind of keep it alive, and unfortunately she is focused out as well. EMP being used as a finalization to capture the first point. Guru coming in with a monkey pick. Grim doing his best to keep it alive, and unfortunately, well, we'll go to the side of Team Galactic. So whenever you see enemy teams in kind of that position, it's always a risk that you take. Do you stay on point and hopefully just wish for your best defense, or do you push a little bit further and maybe catch the enemy team before they're able to group up successfully and then attack all as one unit? Most of the time you want to gamble on attacking the enemy team before they're ready. By the time the enemy team gets to you on a defense push, they're already all grouped, they're already good to go. So perhaps that's something that Mob can take advantage of on this time. Be a little bit more aggressive when they have the point and control, and zone out that out area so that they don't even allow Galactic to touch at all. And if they do, you drastically lower the time that they have to work with to capitalize. So going in now, we have a McCree for the double shield comps. This is a very powerful position for McCree to control. It's very difficult unless you run a similar hit scan to hit him on the opposite side, or you send a flanker, which gives up objective. Grim doing a good job covering the backs of the tanks. And Mob Mentality will get first touch on this point in Ruins. Just doing a little bit of mop up here. Sombra getting out safely, not in too much trouble. I like no changes. Team's gonna not switch out anything. A really quick high noon almost on deck for Grim. Grim on Sombra duty, trying to catch her out. Front line getting pushed very hard. There is a high noon in the works. Good high noon to get one of the healers, King Dollar. Drake ended up falling. Sombra locator sought out, so she's gonna have to find another spot to make camp. Now that Mob Mentality knows that's her mega spot, they might be trying to zone out the additional mega spot on the opposite side of the map.
make you feel better.
On week 1, we saw Slush pretty effective with the Mei walls to cut off enemy teams on their advances, so you can expect to see a lot more similar playstyle, especially to disorganize the team, but an EMP might do otherwise, also with a Gravitic Flux and a High Noon! A triple combo coming out on the way, Galactic. There is a Mei ult, but Slush should probably hold on to this. He knows most of his team's wiped. It's okay, he can hang on to it. But yeah, that triple combo. A lot of resources dedicated to take that first point, but I think they absolutely needed every single one of those ultis to wrestle away control from Mob Mentality. 83% now on the clock. If Mob gets this first push and wins this first push, they're expecting an attack. Now with the Lucio ult, the aggression should come through. Unless that was a misplay on Galactic, which it might have been. I believe that Lucio ult came through on Nate. So perhaps a slight misplay. Gravitic's Flux coming in. AK getting picked from behind. This flanky McCree. YT on the side of Galactic. And nobody really sees the flanky McCree. He's trying to get out. Mob taking the point, but they do have numbers down. They need to keep Twiz healthy. Jen doing a good job zoning away, trying to boot people, potential threats away from the Reinhardt. I think they're going to reinitiate. Hammer strike. Jen is hanging on to the beat. A difficult spot to work with the window for the Baptiste, but they're trying to put pressure down the mid. Both Immortality fields come out with the Gravitic Flux. Jen waiting for the Grab Flux to smart move to pop against High Noon again, coming in through YT. No kills. And this should go the way of Mob Mentality. EMP might not be enough as a last ditch effort. Stagger coming in on the side of the red team. Let's see if anybody can make it. They do have a Hammond on point with an Immortality. Bought very little time to work with though, but the fight still continues. And the Mob's having a little bit of trouble locking down these stall characters. It seems like Galactic's buying a ton of time here on this attack. So credit to their stall skills, but unfortunately it won't be enough. But that was a very good stall on the side of Team Galactic. I mean, that was about a minute or so, maybe possibly longer, to extend that lead a little bit further, and maybe they can get lucky. The longer you can stall out the enemy team from killing you, the more time you have to actually group up on the point yourself. Temple of Anubis week 1. We know that focus fire had been a little bit difficult on the side of Mob, but it looks like it's been dialed down this week. So we're happy to see that. It is 1-1 on our final last point. Map 1 on Ilios.
There's no such thing as gold.
5, 4, 3,
There's no 2.
1. Round 3. Capture the objective.
Slush telling his team to go through right side of teleporter, but I don't know if his team knows. That might slow down the time. Possibly ever getting through, and it will slow down the time. So a little bit of miscommunication on the side of Mob Mentality. It seemed like Slush knew he wanted the direction to go, but I don't know if that was communicated to the team or if there was a miscommunication once again. There is a pause coming through. Possibly miscommunication as well.
There is still much to be done.
The objective is now active.
So the team grouping once again.
Mercy on call.
So unfortunately, the ball might have been dropped on the first attack. On the side of Mob Mentality, Slush knowing that the TP strat might not be so much in the works anymore. Smart change from him. Guru pushing very aggressively. in tandem. Perfect block from Twiz. Very good block from Twiz. Able to deny that enemy Reinhardt. His rightful ult charge. Huge boulder coming in through. Front line is crumbling on the side of Galactic with just the healers on there. So about halfway through the point. A very good first point. Touch, not bad at all. Mob is just going to have to do better. So we do have a Gravitic Flux. We do have an Earth Shatter on board with the Riptire soon to follow. So a lot of ultis ready to go off here. And they do need to be impactful. There's a McCree on high ground from YT. Loving to play a little bit of the flank. Maywall separating the team, but Slush denies any attack and value. Guru having good focus on the Lucio, knowing that his stalls would only buy them more time. It's a very nice defense coming through. Mob Mentality is now aware of the high ground. Grim probably going to take control of that, so I would like to see an ulti from Grim here to kind of stagger, maybe get something cheeky in to help your front line. Even if 2 kills are here, it's going to be enough to buy your team basically one more attack to defend, and then the map is yours. The focus coming in really hard on Grim, and there it is. 2 kills specifically on Grim. YT mopping him up, but the damage might already be done. Jen having an excellent res, keeping your DPSs alive. So what we're seeing on the side of Mob is there's fantastic ult management to kind of drag on the team fights. And I mean, Twiz still has his Earth Shatter. Everybody kind of on fire, doing the work they need to do, playing as a unit. Riptire could deny Galactic the last and final team fight, but anything could happen. Slush holding the tire, preventing the advance. One pick coming out on the side of Nate. Twiz with the fire strike, and there's 2 down. And this might be it for the attack of Galactic. It looks like that's going to be the final attack. And that will be the end of map 1 on Ilios. Mob Mentality takes the first win. Basically freezing with, I believe it was Slush, with his Riptire, preventing the advance of the enemy team because they know the Riptire is coming in, but they had no choice but to go in, and when they did, the Riptire was there to greet them. So I think freezing that attack was one of the highlight of that play. We see a big play coming in from Mango with that quadruple kill, and also a boop falling off. But unfortunately, it's not enough to secure them their first win.
Traveling to Icon
And we're back. Welcome back, everyone. This is map 2, CGL, week 3. Mob Mentality versus Team Galactic. Mob Mentality was able to take map 1 of Ilios. And let's talk a little bit about the roster and a little bit of what we've seen so far. On the side of Galactic, we know that we've seen a lot of McCree coming out from the side of YT. It seems like he likes to play very aggressive behind the back line, able to kind of catch people off guard, and it feels like it's halfway there. It's possible YT might need to put a little bit more damage in on the front line, but it is evident that there were a couple times where Mob did not see him at all, so that could be very dangerous, especially with the high noons not being accounted for. So there is a ton of potential for YT to exploit that. So we'll see what other tricks the team have up their sleeves. It's still very early in the game. No substitutions so far, but we're ready to get back to the action. Let's get some love to our supports. Let's get ready for the first push. So Ryan Zarya taking the front. Guru trying to build up a little bit of charge. Twiz trying to farm some fire strikes. There is an echo in the sky, so it's going to be up to Slush to check that echo. So he's letting his shields build up, backtracking a little bit. So it seems like the tanks are kind of... It seems like they're on the same page now. It was a little bit... oh, one was retreating, one was advancing. Guru at full stacks. AK doing a good phase to get those echo bombs off. And Grim with the first pick on Drake. Able to gut check that echo. And the fight will start here. Boys swinging the hammer. The Coalescence online going to be used to secure this first point. Force Galactic in a tight choke. And Galactic giving up the first point. They had plenty of time to fight that. But it looks like they're going to try and fight after the point was taking. Maybe to hold a after point hold, but it's not going to work out in their favor. I really think Galactic could have been a little bit more aggressive in there rather than backing up in the choke, but it's possible they were going for the after point hold to wipe the team and just maybe control that spawn area. So Team Galactic looking to take control of this high ground. Grim being aware of it. Needs to be careful not to get caught out here. And a good bubble from Guru. Being able to peel it out. Firebomb's going to cause a little bit of damage here. And a big burst coming out. Slush taking out Dubs. Grim putting a lot of focus on this Echo, which is exactly what he needs to do. And there's not really any... It looks like the drop down is going to come now. On the point. Wiz hitting a big Earth Shatter, but he is low. He needs some healing with this team. He wasn't able to capitalize. And this is going to be a reset. So Grim, I saw Grim was playing very close to the shield. Pretty much shoulder to shoulder to his Reinhardt, which is great to see from a lot of the DPSs to give the support to that front line. We also saw on the side of Twiz a big Earth Shatter coming through, and I know every fiber of his being wanted to push that 3 guys knockdown on the floor, but unfortunately it didn't come to fruition. So there is a dragon ready to go and also a Bob. So the Bob initiation might be the one to start the chaos, followed by the dragon once the scatter happens. Slush zoning out. Valkyrie online for Jen. So I like this play from Mob, taking the high ground before they do the attack. Bob initiating the fight. Bob immediately melted from Dubs. It's very surprising to see Bob being able to drop that far. And this might be the end of the attack. Mob trying to hang in there. But it is risky being out here. Barriers falling. Calling out the one-shot. Jen able to clean up with the Mercy. Mob's still in this. Using the payload as cover. Very smart tactic here. Even with a man down, they are pushing. Guru popping out his ulti. And doing a good job keeping everybody alive. Coalescent popping out as well. Dragon should follow. Wiz trying to get his shields back up. Another Earth Shatter. Trying not to telegraph his Earth Shatter. And he is going to have to retreat off of this. The dragon was used in the previous fight, so there was no dragon on that team fight. I believe it was used in an attempt to take the high ground.
Activating the barrier.
Let's get the payload moving again.
So, Twiz having a little bit of trouble nailing that Earth Shatter just because there's so many shields he needs to get through. So he's trying to play it smart, trying to play it slow, waiting for the opportunity, which is the right call. Mob does not want to go through that. They're gonna want to wait till that's over. Galactic slowing the advance. A little bit spread out more than they'd like, and this is a slow wipe coming in from Mob, so they need to get out and just regroup. to prevent this slow wipe. So much like what you saw in map 1 with the Riptire slowing the advance, the wall and the Orisa ulti, the bongos coming out basically say, nope, you're not getting through this door.
60 seconds remaining.
But now, since most of the ultis are gone, the question is, does Galactic have anything left in terms of ult usage that is going to help them for this next fight? We'll see. Healer's having a little bit of trouble covering the ground covered by the hit scans. There's an Ashe still on high ground. High Noon coming in from the back. And again, what we talked about later. This time coming out from Drake. And 4 deaths coming through on the side of Mob, so this isn't going to be enough for a push. This might not even be enough for a recontest unless they switch to the contest characters. But they're trying to get this kill on Guru, knowing that he's the last person alive. During the break, we talked about YT, or I'm sorry, during the beginning of the map, we talked about YT doing the flanks. But this time we see it on the side of Drake, playing the sneaky McCree flank. A lot of ults coming in from Gravitic Flux. The Rock unfortunate to hit, and that looks like that's going to be the end of Mob Mentality's attack. So having a little bit of trouble this phase 2. So it's going to be up to them to just have a better defense than the enemy team.
Score 1-0. Switching sides.
So to recap a little bit on the last push, I was very impressed on the side of Team Galactic of how fast that Bob died. I mean, if we can go back and look at that specific spot, that Bob dropped almost immediately within a couple seconds. So what does that tell you on the side of Mob Mentality is that, well, for one, their team focus and focus fire is absolutely on point. The shot calling seems like there's a direction of where they want their damage focused on, and so that focus is enough to basically deny you some ults, deny you some advances, and perhaps stop you from maybe going off as much as you'd like. So the focus fire is going to be something that they're going to have to deal with.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
We do have a Fair Mercy. Grim was able to check the Echo earlier, but with the Pocket Mercy, is that going to be more of a problem now? A quick push going onto the right side of point. The mirroring coming through, preventing the advance. So the target focus is a little split because the Pharah is poking. And unfortunately, it's going to be too much damage coming through. And Team Galactic should be able to take this point easy. Front line slowly falling. Trying to take as much of them with them as you can. So a very fast first push, much like what we saw from Mob. It's really going to come down to this phase 2 of holding this high ground.
The breakthrough was near.
The payload.
I could feel it.
And Team Galactic taking this high ground extremely quickly. So we see Galactic basically beating Mob to the draw in a lot of positioning areas, but as far as the team fights, it looks like they're able to ward off the high ground, so coming up a little bit empty on the attacker side. We see this pharmacy battle in the air. Who's going to come out on top? It will be on the side of Slush. He is able to get King Dollar out of the equation. He is able to mop up. Unfortunately, not able to get Drake. Nauri going in for the cheeky melee, and the res coming in on Slush. So it looks like the key to this phase 2 is holding that high ground. Do not let them get the wall above you. This will take a battle in the skies, a battle of high ground. The tank's not much in a position to help with this fight, but basically controlling the ground on the floor. So we see two separate fights coming in. And again, the Bob immediately bursted from Grim. So how much value is really happening on this Ashe right now is remaining to be seen. Big ulti coming out from Drake. So Mob on the back pedal now. We have to see where the final payload is going to rest.
Everybody come over here.
I believe it's somewhere probably midway on the bridge. Drake getting caught out, overextending a little bit too much. But he's trying to zone for the objective area. Bob getting focused. Unfortunately, too much damage coming through. And unable to touch. Map 2 going in the way of Eichenwald to Team Galactic. And you really want to revisit just how much value the Ashe was getting. I mean, by the first or second time when you realize the Bob is getting bursted, it might be a signal to maybe try something different. Because that's the whole point of Ashe, is to have that tanky Bob basically being the one to take control of that point.
Traveling to Volskaya Industries.
Welcome back, everyone. Right now the match stands at 1-1. We have a tie on our hands. Going to map 3 on Volskaya. There is a substitution on the side of Mob Mentality. Twiz subbing out, Capra coming in for him. The rest of the roster remains unchanged. So historically on Volskaya, we've seen a lot of great things and a lot of great holds, especially overtime cap points. I'm actually pretty surprised Mob isn't investigating using the Hog here. We've seen Cypher's Hog on Volskaya, and we've seen it come up big many of times. So it's something in the books just to be aware of, especially if their game plan doesn't work today.
Soon we will see if the hypotheses are correct.
Double shield looking to be in the works. Immortality to help with that shield mitigation. As we all know, Orissa's shields are less than ideal, but I believe with the Immortality coming in on the side of Baptiste, much more manageable. Much more manageable to keep your tanks alive, give you at least maybe a couple 4 or 5 seconds, and get that shield up again. More than enough to help. AK behind the smart position, and we'll get started here. Let's start with our tanks up on the front line, opting to hold the high ground. Team Galactic also using their own Orisa Sigma. And there was a touch on point, not sure who that was, but there was a small tick on it. Lots of shields for the team to get through. It is a Tracer who is trying to bait Mob to kind of get them off of high ground. Mob smart, not taking the bait, but this is going to be a crazy fight in this small area. And I think Mob does have the upper hand, but they're going to let it go. Tracer coming around the flank. Mob doing a good job not rushing in there. The attackers have to come to them, so they're playing it nice and patient, which is great to see. There's no room for mistake, because one mistake is going to be all you need for the attackers to take the point. A very good Immortality on the side of Team Galactic, and Immortality right back. Tracer not really trying to take the point. I think on the side of Team Galactic, if the Tracer really did want to take the point, I think it would be enough for Mob to lose this high ground. And there it is. So it looks like Team Galactic is going to admit to take the point. And I don't know if there's Mob can do much to stop this. Everyone's still healthy. It's Slush denying the advance with 2 big picks from his ulti. And that's going to be a regroup on the side of Team Galactic. So a very lengthy first attack that took about 2 or so minutes. 1 tick is on point, but you gotta you gotta wonder if that attack could have been faster. So it got stalled out a little bit on both sides. Attackers might have taken that first point a little bit earlier, and like I kind of stand by what I said earlier, is that if that Tracer would have just stayed on point a little bit, just to make Mob panic a little bit more, might have been an deciding factor in that engagement. So the Dynamite coming through, poking a little bit of ult charge. Grim unfortunately falling from Drake, able to get the res. Bob being used. A very good Gravitic Flux coming from Guru. Let's take a look at Guru's perspective. So a minute left in the books. And based on how the pace of attacking has gone, this probably will be Team Galactic's last and final push for Volskaya. They must be realizing it's do or die time if they want to take a point on this first objective. Double shields coming in on the point. Guru very low. Guru ends up dropping, but a res coming in. Jen doing absolutely fantastic with these reses. Guru needs to get out of the line of fire. Another Bob coming in to secure the point. So Team Galactic does make the best of the do or die situation and is able to take this first point. But a lot of time ticked down, which is great as far as economy goes. Mob Mentality in a very good spot to keep holding on to this next point. They're going to have to continue to do the same. But now it's this time. The attackers have the high ground. Dragon coming in. Slush's Riptire. Denied by YT. Grim trying to gut check this Hanzo, knowing he's a threat. Predicting his movements very well. So even if Grim's not doing direct damage to the front line, he's helped preventing these flanks that we know YT loves to do. And as well as Drake, there is a pocketed Ashe sneaking up behind them, so it is going to force the front line to turn around, and there is going to be some disorganization that Team Galactic can take advantage of here. Sun Cody getting to pick on Slush, Guru getting to pick on Cody. Jen able to take out YT. And the melee's coming in from Grim. Triple melee out of ammo, doing what you can do. So this should be a manageable fight for Mob. Mango and Doves on their way out the door.
At peak performance levels. I get the idea.
So a minute 30. I would like to see Team Galactic take a quicker fight this time so they can have time for 2 attacks. But there is a lot of ults that should be on the attacking side. I feel like the first push was maybe an economy farm to get some ultis online to work with. And Slush is doing a fantastic job doing the dirty work of bursting these shields. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. And I wish they'd give you a medal for it. The window becoming a problem. Mob playing the angles. Once again, the immortality keeping them alive, but not as long as Mob had hoped. 4 kills coming through. And it's just Capra left on deck. Slush online. Not enough to get the job done, so Stall Comp is going to have to come out. Grim knows this. Grim staggering his engagement so that both of them don't die on point. Pocket's done as best as he could do. Slush coming back into the action. Guru coming back in. Doing a straight vertical jump and then landing back on the objective. The supercharger is taking out, but Bob is also going to be there to help, and that might be it. The Bob being the final deciding factor, but no time is left on the attacking side, so Mob doing a good job keeping the enemy team to 0 time. Very respectable hold. I think it's about on par with what to expect from this team, and I'm sure they're feeling good about their defense of what they did so far. Definitely respectable. So far we haven't really discussed much about the tank situations on both sides of both teams. We kind of talked extensively about, you know, the DPS and their involvement in a lot of the team fights, and as well as, you know, the supports using their abilities such as the immortality fields. But if I had to give an analysis on as far as the tanks, I mean, I see it exactly kind of deadlocked. I feel that Capra and Guru have kind of met their match, so to speak, especially mirroring the aggressiveness from Mango. It really is a kind of a gridlock. So maybe to push the envelope a little bit is for the tanks to kind of outmaneuver one another. And this is really a few moments we've seen it come this close. Very evenly matched set. So it's up to Mob to get a faster time than Galactic here, and the way to do that is to just attack faster than Galactic had. Galactic really only had 3 pushes that they made the most of, and yes, they were able to get it, but could you have done it faster in maybe less time? So we'll see what happens here. Echo sneaking up behind. Not exposing themselves yet because they don't want to get caught out. It looks like the call is to go exactly in the same spot that they held on defense. And YT poked out immediately. The res coming in, unable to be prevented. Drake does kill AK, but the res comes in on AK. So we haven't encountered the bunker in Mega yet. And this is interesting to see. A lot of the popular spots to hold, obviously the truck, top left and top right, which is basically where the Ashe was at the beginning of the fight. But we've seen very few holds on the Mega, and so this is gonna take some time to solve for Mob, but hopefully not too much time. So it looks like the answer is gonna be the Junkrat instead of the Echo. Hopefully the Junkrat can just lob grenades into that corner and force them out of Mega. So we know the team is split on 2 sides of the maps. And so the question is, which one do you attack? 2 minutes out on the clock, and Mob has yet to make first contact. The wall a little bit behind, I think, where they wanted it. Capra having to jump. The wall might have been a little bit more value if it was extended a little bit further. But I know the risk of being at too far out in the open. So Mob jumping down on point now. Turret focus from the Torb. And this is going to be Orisa versus Orisa. Who's going to get more resources in terms of healing economy? All the resources need to be dedicated to the tanks to keep them alive. Fortunately, it's not enough because high ground is going to put a bullet in their back. But Jen says no. Focus on Bob. The Bob needs to be focused. The lack of Bob focus is a little bit alarming, but it should still be winnable. Ashe still on high ground, unaddressed. But the point is going to go to Mob. And this Ashe is going to get a huge stagger if she's confirmed. But Drake able to pick up Capra to hopefully slowly advance. And Grim as well. We've seen a lot of clutch reses coming in historically from AK, but now Gen has kind of taken up the mantle, and we're seeing them play almost asynchronously. A lot of high impact reses coming in from Gen, and very little punishment. She's being smart about where she's positioning, not being overextended, taking the reses that are meaningful and valuable, and getting the people who need to be resed in the moment. Bob initiating the team fight. Let's see if the focus on Bob is going to continue. And it did, but not much value coming out from the Bob. So the Gravitic Flux coming out a little bit later. We do see all 5 members getting hits on Mango. Mango's right back in the fight, and Drake gets 2 of these kills. But it is going to be a retreat. The ults are going to have to be expended. It's going to be a waste. So we saw the Bob come in, but I'm kind of questioning why. There was no urgency once and the slow wipe is going to hurt even more. There was really no urgency once the Bob was thrown. It was kind of like, okay, Bob, here you go. Have fun, bro. And so was the plan to attack as well with the Bob, and I think the attacking is what needed to follow up. It's possible that the Bob could have just been a bait, could have just been to draw out perhaps an immortality or something like that, but we did see the Gravitic Flux come in afterwards, so perhaps if those 2 combos were ulted together, it might have been a different team fight. So something to note. This double shield causing a world of pain for both teams. Gravitic Flux coming through. Mango not able to get anybody. Good shield from Capra. Kind of protecting this turret. The high ground battle continues. Good pull to get Sigma off a high ground. And another Baptiste wall online. So I would pop the wall exactly where Galactic popped theirs. And again, another Bob kind of just thrown. So the wall's a little bit off-centered from where Galactic was, and a Molten Core to deny them the wall. A really effective play. Coming out on the side of the DPS is Drake with the big brain plays to dump the Molten Core right behind the wall so that Mob can't use the wall. We talk a lot of times about supports countering DPS ults, but what about DPS ults countering supports? So this wipe is going to be taken. And there's really only time for one more attack. And that'll be it. Unfortunately, no ults on the side of Mob Mentality, so Gravitic Flux is going to be the best thing that's going to keep you alive. If Slush can put in some damage before the Flux goes off, it's possible you can combo Molten Core Flux. So we're nearing the last 10 seconds of map 3 in Volskaya. Backs against the wall. Let's see what Mob can do here. Huge damage coming up from Mango. Another Flux coming through from Mango. And that'll be it for the push on Mob. So unfortunately coming up short on Volskaya. Not being able to turn this into a map win, and it's going to be another win on the side of Team Galactic. We'll go into a little bit of a break, and then we'll be right back to cover map 4.
Play of the game.
Is Mob going to be packing up home? Are they going to be able to bring this to a game 5? Mango doing an excellent job, I believe, getting those Gravitic Fluxes almost every single team fight with another quintuple kill. Really good plays on the side of Mango.
Welcome to Rialto.
We're ready to get started on map 4. Right now the score is 2-1. Team Galactic able to take 2 maps. Mob Mentality down a map, so this is do or die time for Mob Mentality. Can they bring it to a game 5? I'd be really excited to see a game 5. It'd be the first time that we'd seen so far in our CGL matchups. Game 5s always get really close to a nail biter, so we're always hoping for a very close and contentious maps. I'm sure both teams would love to see a Game 5. Well, I'm sure Team Galactic would just love to end it here. So we'll see what happens. In terms of substitutions, we do have Cypher and Twiz joining us back on the action, taking the spots of Capra and Guru. So we talked a little bit about Cypher's involvement with Hog. It does seem like Mob is exploring that option now. We know Cypher has shown up in many situations to get these big hooks in. So we'll give some love to Cypher. Try to give love to all our Mob Mentality fantastic players. Putting in a lot of hard work in scrims. Putting in a lot of hard work in these matches. So Mob is electing a little bit of the flank. Unfortunately, Grim getting caught out by Drake. Cypher, a little overextended, needs to come back. Immortality is used. Both immortalities used on both sides of the team. Drake overextended, punished by Cypher. Double shields. Hanging in there. Another hook coming in from Cypher and a big nano. I'm sorry, counter healing. Very good push. Ult's coming online for Twiz. This should confirm. Grab Flux. Earth Shatter Nano. Just as predicted. And that should be enough to lock down the first point. And a very strong first push coming from the side of Mob. Cypher immediately gaining his value. Able to get those first picks. And maybe that's all they need to turn the tide in their favor. Catch one of those guys a position. And hopefully snowball the next team fight. So we'll see what happens in the next engagement here. The double shields doing a little bit better, being focused, but the Orisa's planting herself on the other side of the payload, preventing the movement. So Twiz pushing through. If he takes too much damage, he needs to come back. Dragon Blade coming through Grim, able to get YT. This looked like a triple kill coming through. Grim earning a lot of value from that Genji Blade. As long as Grim checks in with his front line, whenever things get too heated, he should be able to make the most of this Genji play. But it looks like he's going to be going back, electing to use something different. We'll take a look what he's going to switch to in a moment. Slush back on the Ashe. Dubs able to pick Twiz. Drake taking AK. Dubs able to get that double. Manko mopping up Jen. And Slush unable to get out. So this is the first hold we've seen from Team Galactic, and it's an important one. The bridge will probably be held against Mob Mentality, and you can expect a lot of poke coming in from that high ground. Looks like Team Galactic, instead of using the top, is going to play the corner of stairs. Bongo's being deployed. Almost picked out there, and he is ending up going to fall. Twiz a little bit separated from his team. And the Orisa almost punished, but unfortunately she's able to escape. Twiz resetting with his front line. And a lot of shield damages. Hit scans just using that positioning that their forward shields are giving them. A big window that should be decisive enough. High Noon coming in from behind and a quadruple kill from the Drake flank. So it seems like the DPS on the side of Team Galactic love their flanks from Drake, from YT. And they're making it known. Just when it seemed like Mob had a bearing with the window coming out from AK, Grim's there to deny it. So plenty of time on board. Mob does need to get a fight under their belt to stop this hard push. Dynamite coming in through behind. There is a Bob. So the Bob does need to come out and the fight does need to happen. The fight does need to happen here. Unfortunately, the fight does not happen. And that's going to be force of retreat from the attacker side. They need to continue to retreating because they will be chased out. And it looks like they're safe distance away to start to heal and regroup. So whenever you're in a position of that attack and defense pull, a lot of mistakes, especially when we see in ranked and casual play, is the retreat isn't hard enough. The retreat is a soft retreat. You kind of move back just enough to think you're safe and then kind of stop. But in the competitive levels of play, it's not going to fly. You have to do the full retreat, almost possibly in the area where your spawn remains, and not put yourself so staggered where you need it. So the positioning does look like it comes out. They were scared by the Riptire. The big nano coming through and no shield to protect their backline. And unfortunately, the Hog is going to push. The Hog ult did push away the pin away from Twiz, but it is still confirmed. A little bit of slight communication, but nothing too serious. Mob does need to push the doors here, buy the team a little bit more time. They don't want to give them any positioning. Cypher getting a big hook coming in. Twiz barely missing a gravitic flux, but a very good immortality coming through, and this should be an easy point cap to give them 3 points with 2 minutes still on the board, and a great attacking play. So the Riptire being just as impactful as it was to stall the advance in Ilios map 1, we kind of see the same thing happening coming from Slush on the Junkrat. He's using a lot of these Riptires to not just get kills, but to buy his team space. The overall objective of that Riptire wasn't to get the big play, it was just to get the team out of that corner, out of the spot where the double tanks were bunkering. And so once that happened, once they were scattered, it was easy for the team to kind of collapse on the disorganization, just from all the chaos in the combat. So a very well orchestrated attack. We'll see if it'll be enough. Mob does need this win, and I'm sure all of them would love to stop before first point. I'm sure any team would love an easy defense, but from what we've seen coming through a Team Galactic, it's anything but easy. I was going to have to fight to really earn their keep here and keep themselves alive to bring this to map 5.
No.
It's how you somewhere in the world.
No.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the aim.
So let's start this defense with our frontline Twiz. The shield's already low. Playing the bend around the corner. Shields are available. Waiting for the payload. And Twiz doing a fantastic job micromanaging that corner. I would love to see Slush on this Junkrat to help Twiz. Slush did fall earlier on the Torbjorn. Perhaps for maybe a little bit more damage, but these shields have been unaddressed, and it just doesn't seem they're falling quick enough, so the slow wipe is coming through, and the front line won't be able to hold. I think we saw a decisive outcome with the Junkrat, and hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that. There is a pause coming through. Our players able to regroup and able to solve their disconnection issues. Galactic trying to get some push to stagger the team out of the spawn. Maybe to get another split spawn. But Mob doing a good job not to let that happen. So they're going to play this first bend here, but the shield break coming in on the side of the attacking side has been a ton of damage. And so there is a lot of pressure on Twiz to be the shield bearer. Earth Shatter coming online momentarily. Cypher able to burst the Bob out. Nano on Twiz. Hammer Strike almost didn't go through. And now Twiz is in a little bit of trouble. Good healing coming through. Big hook also coming through. Mob able to hold this bridge. It's a fantastic spot to defend. Now Slush is able to get a little bit more value from the Torbjorn because the distance to close on the payload is now a little bit further. The Pharah coming in. We saw the Pharah Mercy on the attacking side before. Slush does have a turret, which could be a counter, but she is pocketed. So now do you take the fight to the skies, or do you take the fight to the front line? Unfortunately, Grim getting picked off. And there isn't really a hit scan to deal with them. Or bullets would be difficult, but not impossible. AK trying to keep everybody up, but it's too much damage. And the Pharah Drake running through the front line. So now the Pharah came through, and we need a response from Mob Mentality to really address what they've been shown. And just such an aggressive push coming through Mango. We know Mango has been aggressive this whole set with quadruple, quintuple kills. And now Drake hitting the back line. Unfortunately, he was not stopped before his ulti was able to cause all the damage. Cypher now the last one left. Waiting for his team. This choke is going to be the last really point that Mob can hold. And so it's going to be up to them not to give up this doorway. And the dragon negates a lot of the nano damage. But there is a Riptire coming through. Unfortunately, the immortality. But Cypher able to do a flank hog. There's going to be no immortality to save this front line. But the healing is going to be enough. And these hooks. Unfortunately, the ult is popped a little early. Still gets the kill on Mango, but now he is dead. There is no healing on Cypher. Possibly trying to come through. Now it's just Jen on point. It won't be enough. The Tracer coming through. YT hitting a ton of headshots on their way out. So almost about a minute 30. More on the side of Team Galactic. So the pressure now is on Mob to get it together and make the best run they could possibly do.
For the last time, no more bananas.
Attack commences in 30 seconds.
Can't keep a good ape down.
So is this going to be the last push for Mob Mentality?
I get that.
They do need an impactful one. Anything less than the first point is going to be difficult. Difficult to defend against. Historically, on both maps, Volskaya and Rialto, the first point has gone incredibly quickly to both attacking sides. So this has been a very attack-oriented fight, and an early fight taking from Team Galactic to fight on this payload, which is not something that maybe Mob was prepared for. Cypher doing his best. He is weak. 13% health. And this frontline battle out the gate is gonna dwindle some time. Perhaps not what Mob expected. There's not too much of a brawl comp that they can work with. Reinhardt could be out of position, but he is able to get out safely. The Earthshatter coming through the doorway. Lucio B keeps everyone alive. Immortality is baited out. Now's the time to fight. But the Reaper ult denies them any attacking potential. So Mob right now is trying to force the fight on a front line, but if they do not have a brawl comp to do this, they're going to have to take the high ground around to force them out from this point. The hook might be enough to turn the tide of this fight. YT might have caught a little bit off guard himself. Another Earthshatter coming through on the side of Dubs. Mob Mentality getting stopped in its tracks. And so this is going to be the last fight. We know the last fights could be the most important and anything could happen, but it does need to be a coordinated, concentrated effort. Jen going for the break for the brawl potential. Unfortunately, Cypher missing that hook and pinned with the Echo. Another Earthshatter coming from the duplication, and the flame is slowly dying on the side of Mob Mentality. And unfortunately, that might be it. Team Galactic coming out completely decisive against something that maybe Mob, again, was not prepared for.
Score 3-3.
At the beginning of map 1, just to review a little bit, we explained how really feeling out maybe what Mob wanted to do could have been part of the game plan coming from Team Galactic. We knew that it was a tight fight between the two teams, but now we have seen the division slowly coming apart, and I really think the difference between Team Galactic getting the better of Mob in these situations is that the shot calling. I don't think Mob was prepared for a lot of the tactics that Galactic brought to the table today. I think it's something that has been shown and kind of new, and so the best way to come over this now is to remember this match and figure out what's your next plan for defeating something like this next time. And really, it's quite a brilliant strategy on the side of Galactic, because now you force the defending team to play your game. You force them to play the brawl comp that they might not want to play. And so it's exactly what Mob is doing. They need to fight the good fight and give it their all. And a TP Bastion from behind. And unfortunately, that's going to be it. And a really, really world-class tactic coming out from Team Galactic. A very well-orchestrated plan. And it definitely shows a well-deserved win on the side of Team Galactic. They're going to take the set 3-1. That's going to be end for the Week 3 CGL. Join us again for the next playthrough. A wonderful ulti from Drake here. We're going to hopefully be coming back to you for Week 4. But I hope you guys enjoyed all the content. We'll be seeing you again, hopefully next time, accompanied by my friend and buddy Yaga. But I'll see you guys all later.
Just how I like it.
Thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to follow our social media at Mob Mentality GG if you enjoyed the content. You can also catch us on our Discord server posted in the link below. As always, this is Boomtown, and I'll see you guys on game day.